This is the Just Live podcast with Dan and Suzie Potter, episode 84.
This week's special guest is Simon and Helene Brolund. They are from Denmark. We have known Simon for a number of years, and Helene, just getting to know her more and more, but them individually and as a couple we appreciate so much, especially in their authenticity. And they have just recently started something called the Authentic Friendship Network. It is a free resource option for you. We're going to hook you up to it. And they love to be authentic. They are people of values. They have strong values, strong rhythms, both individually and together. And we're going to hear about how they live fully alive.
So turn on your imagination. Be ready to be inspired.
Live life. See the good days in it. Just live. Live life. See the good days. See the good days. Follow your potential. And live life. See the good days in it.
Your life is a remarkable story, an adventure that only you can create.
We exist to motivate and equip you to live fully alive.
Today in this Just Live Festival, we have Simon and Helene with us. We are so excited to just pick their brains and find out from them their example of living fully alive.
My name is Dan.
And my name is Suzie. Together we are
Doozy.
Thank you so much, guys, for joining us. So who are you and what do you do?
I love the question, who are you? That's a big question.
That's great.
Who are you?
Well, I'm Simon, and this beautiful lady next to me is...
If you were wondering, Helene.
Right.
Yeah. And I think we are people lovers.
Yeah,
we are Jesus lovers. We are entrepreneurs. We are passionate about life. And and we're brave, I guess. That's part of who we are as well. Trying to step into anything that comes our way and daring to take God's lead where he takes us.
Yeah, for sure. And to be honest, boiling it down, we love people. We just desperately love people. And we are desperately loving to see people step into everything that they're created for, whether that's in church or outside of church. Seeing people step into their full potential, that really gets us going.
Yep.
And as a bonus, we have two amazing little kids as well, 9 and 5. That is definitely a big part of our lives.
So we're mom and dad as well.
That's true.
Yep. And we are heading up a company around authentic friendships and how to build authentic friendships as an adult. Because we see that it's part of living fully alive is having these amazing friendships. And honestly, so many people settle for less in this area or struggle, but there's nowhere to go. So we're trying to create that space.
What does it look like for you, each of you, to live fully alive? Maybe you want to answer it individually, and then I'd love to hear together.
Oh, wow. I think for me, it's definitely part of what we're doing right now. I feel completely blessed that we, as a couple, get to chase what's in our hearts, and that we actually took this step and jumped in saying, you know what, we want to jump in the pool and run with what we feel like God's put in our hearts. And living fully alive is being in that tension, the tension between I know what I'm chasing and the tension of not knowing where this is going to take us, and living in that and living together in that and joining in as a family doing it. Is one of our passions, is that we are not just mom and dad doing our thing. We want to be a family on a mission. We want to be a family trying to change the world together. And it's one of those things. And seeing my 9-year-old, our 9-year-old saying, when I grow up, I want to be a friendship coach. Like, yeah, okay, kill me. So being in that tension of running towards it, that is what makes us feel fully alive. Seeing how that bubbles up, the excitement coming from that, and daring to be all that you're made to be.
Yeah.
May I just side note there that look how contagious you are right there. You're
There
doing
you go.
it and your daughter's catching it.
Right.
Yeah.
It's very much part of it.
I think we talk a lot about that living fully alive. And for me as well, there's something about daring to fit out.
Oh yeah.
Daring to be who I am and not having to cut something off. And that's vulnerable. And it is outside of the comfort zone to live fully alive. Because we don't live in a world that honors that. We live in a world that honors certain things that we are supposed to do or live up to, or like, this is how life should look. But fully alive is outside of the comfort zone, which is uncomfortable, but it's also a lot more fun.
Right.
And a lot more like the whole, I can feel I'm alive. Like, that's why people go, skydiving and stuff like that. I don't want to skydive to feel fully alive. I want to live my everyday life fully alive.
Yeah.
So I think that's the beautiful part of it. But it is really daring to take steps. And there's movement in this as well. Living fully alive is a process. It's an everyday journey. It's not something where I can go, yeah, I've chosen to live fully alive, so I'm going to do that for the rest of my life. Check. It is a choice to show up authentically, daring to fit out every time I fit out with my opinions or my life choices. And it's also risking judgment.
Yes.
Because people who want to fit me in the box, they're going to judge me and go, okay, they're really weird. They're like, what is going on there? And I can choose to live up to their expectations, or I can choose to just go, well, you're not the judge of where I want to go. I need to live as an overflow of who I am and what my heart longs for and where I feel God is leading me, rather than what you think I should do.
Wow. So good.
So well said. So many quotable snap, snap, snap. I can't write as fast as you say. And that is you, Helena. You always are so amazingly rich with word concepts. And you've given us so many nugget bombs right there we're going to catch and take.
Amazing.
Thank you.
I love, you guys are truly living fully alive. What about together? What does it look like for you to live fully alive together?
Yeah, I think a lot of it is also in terms of how we structure our days, of how we prioritize to start our days together, and making sure that we live a life where we're centered around our marriage, but also about being around our Creator. One of the first things that happen every morning is that we go and do our separate devotions, and then we check in and say, so what's God saying to you this morning? What's He saying to you? And we're praying together. So kind of making sure that we are this unity that this ring after all represents, and that we keep on connecting every single morning in that sense, and having that together. And I firmly believe that makes us able to be who we are individually, because we also connect as the unity that we have decided to be. So I think it's definitely a big part of it that we start our mornings like that together, deciding to go out. Yeah. What do you think, babe?
Celebrating each other's differences.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Acknowledging and loving the differences. And respecting the things that we do not understand about each other. The things that I have feelings that Simon doesn't get. I feel feelings all around my body, and sometimes he's just like, oh, so you're feeling a feeling in your shoulders. Okay, honey, I get it.
She's a woman.
but he respects it. So it's being loved for who I am, with all of who I am.
Right.
And I think that's why we also love talking about friendships, because that's a great friendship with us, but it's also other friendships we have. It's part of being loved for who I am, gives me courage to show up as who I am. And I can't live fully alive if I don't show up as who I am.
Wow.
So it's sometimes we think that we need to, like, we live in a culture that talks so much about self-development. Well, you need to figure out who you are so you can show up as who you are. But when I'm loved and safe in relationships, that also gives me courage to explore who I am.
Yeah, so good.
So I don't think we can show up without friendships.
Yeah. One of the things I often say to people is one of the greatest studies you can do is study yourself, so you can understand this God that created you in His image and show up. And that's beautiful.
It's a study of God in and through us. And I love You've already gotten into our next section about what rhythms or habits do you have to be fully alive. And I heard you already say you have your God time. So you've got that unity with God and then your unity with each other and then celebrating your differences and allowing each of you to be authentically you. Yeah. But then you come together as a bonus example, because you are two unique and very unique people individually, but coming together is a multiplication, not just an addition. And I love that you make that intentional, not only with your friendships out there, which I know you do, but you do it with each other as well.
Yes.
Are there any other rhythms or habits, everybody calls it different, that you do personally together to make sure that you are living fully alive, fully celebrating your differences and grounded and rooted in the love of Jesus, as you just talked about?
We have a habit that is when we have an emotional reaction, we take time to explore it. And that also helps us to live fully alive. So it's like, okay, something's going on and we have respect in our friendship that needs to be there. That's a habit that when it comes up, we need to deal with it. We also have a habit of not stopping to talk until we are actually done. So I think, but that habit of actually respecting and giving time and putting effort into working with ourselves as part of being fully alive together and fully alive apart. Because if we don't connect with each other, that's one of our sayings is also, we can only connect as deeply with others as we can with ourselves. So we have to take time to connect, to actually work it out and really work it out and not just work it out on the surface of what's going on.
Yeah. And I think another one that we've, of course, as a couple stepped into a season now where we started building a company together. So we're not just building church together and being parents together, we're also building a company together. So some will say we're crazy, but we just love it. But that means we actually started, and maybe we are crazy, but we actually started a fairly new habit where we every week sit down and we ask each other a few simple questions where we just go, and one of them is, did we have fun this week? Did we do it different? Did we make a difference this week? Or did we work on being good parents this week? How did it go with being healthy this week?
How did we use our time?
How do we use our time?
Prioritize our time. So we evaluate every week.
Exactly. Just sitting down and saying, did we actually do what we want to do in our lives this week? And I know for some will be like, okay, that may be crazy to do that every week. Could you do it once a year? But for us, just kind of being
we can drift so much in a year for that.
Sure. But just taking that time is actually been a great way of looking. And the good thing about doing it once a week is also that if you've drifted a little bit away, you can just steer clear, because you have that pile marker that you want to aim for. And if you do it every week, you're sure that you're not getting too far away. So that's definitely one of our newer rhythms that is a massive help. But it's also nice to celebrate it. We did a good week. We did what we wanted. Okay, this week we didn't. All right, let's get back on up on that horse. And so I think that is definitely a massive thing for us in this season of our lives.
Yeah. You know, we've got a lot of listeners that are watching this, and they're like me saying, I want to get to know those guys.
More of Simon and Helene, please.
So how do people get in contact with you?
We have two social media hashtags, and they are both just Simon and Helene on Facebook and on Instagram. So Simon and Helene on both Instagram and Facebook. If you want to join our community, it's Facebook groups. So facebook.com/groups. And then the Authentic Friendship Network. And then you can just sign into our group there and find us. But anywhere you find us online, write us a DM, poke us, whatever it is, and we'll definitely love to connect with you.
You're living life fully alive.
Yeah.
And the thing that I see just listening to you today is that your focus is to just live. to live with each other, to live with your friendships, to live with your children, to live when it doesn't go well and to live when it does, to live 5 minutes before you go on vacation and when you get there. And so for all of you, I just want to say, that's what Jesus is speaking over us.
Yes.
My children, my son, my daughter, just live.